Hello, my name's Cameron and you're watching another episode of Cam's Camera Talk. This is a relatively new YouTube channel, been open for a few months now, but I've decided to give an Employee of the Month award, starting from last month, which was September. All in all, it was a successful month. I racked up about 16 views on my videos, so job well done. But anyway, it wasn't easy, but I managed to narrow down my Employee of the Month for September. For September, the Employee of the Month goes to Cameron Asgarzadigan. Round of applause for Cameron Asgarzadigan. But anyway, you're not here to hear about Employee of the Month for September. You're here to hear about Arrow Season 3. Here it is. So yeah, Arrow Season 4 is going to be hitting our television screens next week, so I thought to prepare ourselves for that, I'm going to do a review for Season 3. So I may briefly be touching on Seasons 1 and 2 of the show, but primarily this is a review for Season 3 of Arrow. So this means I'm not going to really go in depth about the characters or the actors playing them. I just thought I'd put it out there that this video is going to be a little bit different than my Gotham and Flash season reviews. Anyway, on with it. So although the Flash season was planned about midway through Season 2, it wasn't until this season where the character actually existed. I mentioned in my Flash Season 1 review that up until Season 3, Arrow was grounded in reality. So I was aware that the show's dynamics were going to change because of the addition of actual superheroes with superpowers. I was therefore prepared for a shift in how the show was going to operate, but the problem was, a lot of Arrow fans weren't. Arrow Season 3 received relatively poor reviews compared to Seasons 1 and 2, simply because they had to accommodate the fact that the Flash was now in their world. Now, I honestly don't think this season was as bad as people are saying it was, but it certainly wasn't as good as Seasons 1 and 2. Arrow's always done good characters, it's always had good action, and the team of Oliver, Felicity and Diggle has always been strong. However, some things went down in this season that I just wasn't too thrilled with. Early on in the season, Sarah Lance's character of Black Canary was killed off by a mystery character. They teased for the majority of season who it was who actually killed her, and then eventually it's revealed that it was my top guess, Thea. The reveal wasn't too bad, but I felt the execution of it was a little bit poor. It had turned out that Malcolm had been training Thea, and part of his training methods was to pour boiling hot water on Thea's hand. And for some reason that didn't leave a mark, and later on in the season she was still affected by pain, so it just seemed kind of a dumb idea to me. Malcolm Merlyn was mind controlling Thea to kill Black Canary, and Oliver then vows to get revenge on Malcolm, and he says he'll never trust him or work with him again. Then about 6 episodes later, Oliver worked with Malcolm again. Oliver claims that this decision was made for the greater good, but from what we'd learned of the character in Season 1 and 2, I just feel that he would have stronger morals than to do this. I knew as soon as they announced that Laurel was going to turn into the Black Canary in this season that it was going to be a bad idea. Don't get me wrong, this is a show about a guy who takes down bad guys using a bow and arrow. So I am prepared to give it some leverage in how far-fetched it can actually be. So I would be more than willing to accept that Laurel could turn into a superhero after, say, 2 or 3 years training. But no, she takes about 4 boxing lessons and then decides to take the leap from being a lawyer to becoming a vigilante. And sure, she spends about 2 episodes getting the shit beaten out of her, but then boom! Full-on superhero. It literally happens overnight. It was a big arc in this series and I just felt it was majorly disappointing. Another thing which weren't necessarily bad but was so unnecessary were the flashbacks in this season of Arrow. In Seasons 1 and 2 they were relevant. They tied into the story that was being told in modern day. But the one in Season 3 was just so boring and so pointless. It led up to Katana and Misao's son being killed, but you could see that happening from a mile away. Sure, it did introduce Katana and Misao, who did have quite a good story in modern day, but to have an entire season based on that, it just wasted everyone's time. Eventually the flashbacks do tie in when Ra's al Ghul wants to use a bomb from the flashbacks to destroy Starling City. But you didn't need to show an entire season's worth of flashback to show this bomb. You could have literally done it in 1 episode. You could visibly see that the only reasons that flashbacks were in this season is because they were so prominent in seasons 1 and 2, and by now the audience had just come to expect them to be in the show, not because they were actually being utilised as an effective storytelling technique. I didn't believe how quickly Oliver improved in his fighting style. In his first fight with Ra's al Ghul, he really gets his arse handed to him. Like, he gets the shit beaten out of him. He lands about one punch on Ra's al Ghul, who's barely even trying, but then come the end of the season, he spends about 1 week training with him, and boom, he wins. It was a massive problem throughout the entire of the season. It just felt that everything was rushed. Gotham got hit hard about my rant about Torn, and now it's Arrow's turn. In season 1 and 2, Arrow was a far-fetched show, and sure, it has some moments of comedy in it, but it was still a serious show. It was pretty dark for something on the CW network. In Arrow season 1, Arrow fucking kills everybody. In season 2, he gets a little bit moral and decides he doesn't want to kill anymore. He just heavily tortures. The point being that the show was very serious, it was dark. In season 3, the introduction of the Flash kind of made it feel like that kind of tone got pushed to the side a little bit in favour of a lighter feel. Sure, he was still beating guys up and torturing people a fair bit, but it just felt that the show was focusing more on humour. It's as if the show was kind of trying to be the Flash, but the Flash has its own style which works for the Flash. But Arrow had its own style which worked fine for it, so there was no need to change it around. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Arrow season 3 also had the most embarrassing scene to date. It was in episode 7, there's a DJ playing a song and no one's dancing. So then this other guy gets up and starts DJing and people are like, yeah, this guy's good. I was like, really? Really? I speak from experience when I say that when you're blind drunk, you will literally dance to anything. When wasted, I could probably do some pretty sweet moves to the sound of static. Anyway, all that being said, that's not to say that there weren't things that I did enjoy in this season. The introduction of Ray Palmer's The Atom was done really well, and Brendan Routh playing him is a good actor. He did very well with the role. But again, he seemed to just turn into a superhero overnight. It felt rushed. I actually thought the League of Assassins story was told really well as well. I like the actor playing Ra's al Ghul, and I like the actress playing Nessa al Ghul. I did really love that mid-season finale where Ra's killed Oliver. Personally, I felt they should have kept Oliver Queen away for a little bit more and pushed Roy Harper into the light instead of Laurel. Colton Haynes leaving the show was a little bit disappointing, but I'm not going to find fault with the writers for that, because I imagine he's probably asked to leave the show as he's maybe been offered a bigger role in something else. But it was still disappointing because I did like the character. I also did think the way that they did it as well was actually quite good. But the character's not dead, so he can always come back if the writers and the actor wants to. All in all, I didn't think that this show was a disaster that people said it was, but I felt it was a step in the wrong direction. Also, worryingly, I've heard that this show is going for an even lighter feel in season 4, which would be taking further steps in this direction, but I will wait until I see the show to decide whether this is a good or a bad thing or not. But overall, I am going to give Arrow Season 3 a 7 out of 10. If you have seen what I've been doing with Gotham, I've been doing weekly reviews of every television episode. I'm going to be doing the same with Flash and Arrow. I can't guarantee that they will be up at the same time every week, but I will get them up as soon as I possibly can. Also, what is worth noting is that I make these reviews with two intentions: to review and to entertain. I like to think that you don't necessarily need to have watched any of the films or the television shows that I review in this format. But when I review a television episode, it simply is just a review. If you've not seen the show or are fans of the show, you probably won't get what I'm on about, so therefore you might not necessarily enjoy it. Just thought I'd give you a heads up. Anyway, if you've liked what I brought for you today, feel free to like, comment and subscribe. Also follow me on Twitter at Cam's Camera Talk, there's a link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Sean Bean is the only man who's got a shitter voice than mine, but yet somehow he managed to find his way to Hollywood, but we all